Okay, let's start. The people who will enter late can join while we are speaking. So welcome to the webinar of All Children, All Rights. This just to make sure, this is an English webinar and will take around 1 hour. There is some room for Q&A at the end as well. If you have questions during the webinar, please write them down in the chat and my colleague will follow up on them. We have a Spanish webinar on the same topic as well. So if you're Spanish speaking and interested in the webinar, or you know some Spanish speaking people who might be interested, my colleague will share as well the link to the Spanish webinar in the chat, and it will take place on the 13th of April. So for me, maybe first to present myself, my name is Lies de Voogd, and I was the project, or I am the project manager on this project, All Children, All Rights. And my colleague Joke Verret is also joining this webinar. She's following up on the chat and for the polls and all these things. And she's the StreetSmart Impact Coordinator and Volunteer Coordinator of our organization. This being said, as we are quite some people, it would be nice to get to know you as well a little bit. So my colleague Joko will launch a small poll where you can share your name and the organization, school, company you're working for. So this would be nice as well if we get some answers on that as well, if you would like to share it. So we will leave you some time to do this. It's always nice to see who is joining webinars and interested in products we create. So that's why the question. I see almost everyone shared their name. If some of you don't like to share your name, that's also okay, no worries. Okay, so maybe let's continue at that point to the next part. On the program for today is a small introduction into our organization. Maybe it will give you some background as well on who we are and why we created this toolkit. Next to this, of course, we will present you the All Children, All Rights Toolkit. It will take around 35 minutes, just an estimation. Let's see how much time it really takes. And at the end, there is room for Q&A. I said 10 minutes here, but if there is less or more, we will see as well how much time we need. So maybe to start, the name of our organization is actually Mobile School. And Mobile School exists out of two brands. We have Streetwise and we have StreetSmart. The main idea for Mobile School is that we learn from and on the streets. And for Streetwise, which is a business entity actually, that's where we learn from the streets actually. So trainers at our company, Mobile School, go to businesses, companies, and give workshops to them, where we see what we can learn from the streets, the skills of children living and learning on the streets, what are their strengths, and what can business people learn from them. We do this in a lot of companies, big companies, smaller companies, and the idea is that those learning and development trainings, 100% of the profits we gain from them immediately go to Mobile School and get invested in our social entity of the company, which is called StreetSmart. For StreetSmart, our main focus is on youth work, and with youth work, we mean in the broad sense of the word, actually. So it's for a lot of vulnerable children and youngsters living all around the world. The main tool we use for this and what we started with is the mobile school. It's actually a blackboard on wheels, like you see here in the picture. And it can fold open like a telescopic system. So it becomes, as you see on the picture, a long blackboard on wheels. It's more or less 6 meters in length on both sides. And on the mobile school, you can attach some educational posters on all kinds of topics, where you can go and learn a lot of things. It goes from basic literacy education, but also on health education, puberty and sexuality. So there are a lot of different topics like you would be learning on school, but then on the streets. The main idea is that we go with this school to the streets, to the place where children hang around, where they are, and for children who are hard to reach for formal educational systems. At this point, we exist already 20 years, and we have 65 mobile schools at this point in 34 countries worldwide. So it's spread on 4 continents. We are in Latin America, Africa, Asia, and Europe. And we reach yearly around 68,000 children, or we have 68,000 contacts. So here you can see a map. It's not totally up to date, but we are in mostly Western Europe, Central and South America, and East Africa, and some projects in Asia as well. Let me share you a quick video that so that you can see the mobile school in action, and then we will continue with the presentation. So I hope this was a bit more clarifying on what the mobile school actually does. So now to share a bit more of our products, I would like to share as well that during the 20 years of experience we had doing and supporting street educators and youth workers worldwide, we noticed that more and more children and youngsters drop out of formal systems, educational, the formal school settings and formal centers in the broad sense of the word are not enough to cover the needs of all vulnerable children and youngsters. And the war and the COVID pandemic unfortunately didn't help in that sense as well. We saw that in the time from 2019 to 2020, more than 100 million children live in poverty. 2/3 of children in Latin America experienced violence. 449 million children are living in conflict zones in 2021, and more than 10 million extra child marriages happened this decade. So it's not really positive numbers. So we see that the need is really, really big to support youth workers and in making their sessions, their interventions, more helping them to make them more valuable. So we see that millions of children are not being reached by formal education. Non-formal education and youth work is key at this point. We really believe this. So, but it's important as well that we see that some of the non-formal educational systems and youth work, they create their own methods, but they are not sharing. They are all on their island. But I really believe, and we believe it at our organization, that we all can learn from each other. There's also the thing of budget and then limited resources, people, money. It's decreasing, and it's hard to find good new people. So that's why we believe that participation is key. So sharing knowledge, sharing educational methods, sharing training, so that we can connect with each other and collaborate with each other. For us, that's really, really important. And that's why we are not only working with the mobile school at this point, but the last, I think, 5-6 years, we were really focusing on creating digital tools which can help us in this sharing knowledge and training content for free with everyone who might be interested in this. So let me quickly take you through these products. If you might be interested in these products, my colleague Joko will share the links to these products as well in the chat, or you can ask us questions as well about them afterwards or in the chat. So the first one, remember we were in the brand StreetSmart, which focused on youth work, and the first product is StreetSmart Wheels, which is the mobile school you already saw. Looks like this. This is the latest one we implemented in Kathmandu, Nepal, I think last month. Yeah, it's a package where you receive the mobile school, the blackboard on wheels, together with more than 250 educational posters. You receive training for your whole team, and there's regular follow-up training interventions where you can make sure that everyone keeps up to date on everything. The second product is a digital product and is available for everyone for free online. It's called StreetSmart Play. As we created so many educational posters for the mobile school, over 250, it didn't make sense for us to just keep them for ourselves. So we decided to upload them all for free on a game platform, and we invite youth workers and teachers and everyone who is creating their own educational materials and games to share them as well on the platform, as together we can reach so many people with the ideas you create, and not only your own target group. So on this platform, you can filter your on topics. So if you're looking specifically for a game on language or an activity on identity and emotions, you can find it here as well. You can also filter on a lot of other different things like the age or the duration of a game or the number of players. Maybe important to mention as well, this game is available in 3 languages. It's in English, French, and Spanish at this point, but you are able to upload your game in your own native language. So you will see if you share your game and you want to share it in Greek or in Italian, then it's not a problem. You upload it and the platform or the website translates your game to the 3 languages of the platform, which is English, French, and Spanish. So we can reach more people with this. Here you can see like an overview page of a game on this platform. It's a game on COVID. Then you can see like a short tagline. You can see the image of the poster in this case. You can download the manual as well, or you can just download the poster. So there's a lot of information there. Definitely check it out. I think it's interesting for everyone working with children and youth to get some inspiration or to actually play them yourself. Here you can see some of the posters that are actually on the platform. The third product we have is StreetSmart Impact. This is unfortunately not totally for free, as there are some maintenance costs involved in this as well. StreetSmart Impact is an application, mobile application you can find in the App Store and in the Play Store on your smartphone. And the idea is that this application can help you or support you as a youth worker during your interventions to keep track of the children and youngsters you work with, and to keep track. The idea is that you can register the interventions or activities you organize. You can keep track of the children who join these sessions, how they feel, which ages, what ages they have. So at the end, when you have all this information in this application, it's easy to register as well, so it doesn't take too much time of you during your activities. You can go back to the web platform of StreetSmart Impact, where you can see how many participants you reached each week, this month, all types of statistics, and you can easily get out some reports, so that it makes it easier to show the impact you have as a youth worker to your team, to other organizations, to maybe people who might be interested in financing your organization, to the government, whoever you want, who you would like to report to. The final product is also a digital product, and it's StreetSmart Learn. It was launched last year, and it's an online learning platform. And as we always with the mobile school implementation, we provide the youth work team or the street educators with some training as well, and we do this already for 20 years. So we have a lot of experience in giving training for this specific target group. And these trainings, they were just, again, with us, and we weren't sharing the knowledge we had. So we thought, okay, why not translate these trainings to an online format where all youth workers, all youth professionals, in the broad sense again, can learn something learn something specific on youth work. So you can see there are all types of topics on training. You have trainings on inclusive youth work, trainings on play-based learning, psychology teams, youth work approaches, impact measurement in youth work, relations and sexuality, and children's rights. On this platform, we are not doing the thing of really, really long trainings and months of following training to receive one certificate. For us, it's important that we work with micro-learning ID. So there are short courses around 20 to 30 minutes where you can easily go through a small course, a unit where you can learn a thing already. There's always one learning objective for each course, and if you combine some courses, you have a full program. And yeah, I think if you combine 5 or 6 courses, you have a full program. For each course and each program, you receive always a certificate as well within your profile. This platform is also for free. So you can just go to this website, easily create your own account. It's just like a username and an email address and a password, and then you're set to go. And this platform is available in 4 languages. We have English, French, Spanish, and Dutch on there for now. Maybe in the future we will translate to other languages as well, but at this point it's 4 languages. Quickly, let me share you a video of the platform as well. So then I can take you through it a little bit, so you can see that you can switch languages. You can also look for on keywords. Let's say that you're interested in a specific word or topic, you can type it there as well. For example, then you find a program on counseling skills or a specific course. You can switch between the topics. You can also use the filter function here as well. So you can search for trainings of different organizations. You can filter on the language or the topic again. And then you can choose as well, if you have just some short time, I just want to do one course, like the 20 minutes thing, or you're really invested and want to follow a full program, you can also look for it there. Then here you receive the overview page of a program. Every program has an introduction video, which quickly introduces you to the topic of the program. You can see the different courses belonging to each program as well, where you can link to the course directly. And then here you're on the course page. It's a course on what is play. You can see what the course is about, who the instructor is, and then you can enroll in the course and start the course here. In the course, you can see there's not only boring text to read. We try to make it interactive as well, and try to make it give you the possibilities to share with other youth professionals worldwide your experiences or your tips, your concerns maybe as well on certain topics. In your profile, you can see all the courses and programs you're enrolled in. You can also see the certificates you receive. You can change account settings, all these things that go together with digital tools. So yeah, it was like a short introduction. I didn't want to take too much time, as it's not a demo on StreetSmart Learn at this point. But if you're interested in one of the 4 products or in more of them, please send us a message, an email, put it in the chat. And we are happy to give you a more extensive demo on the products later on. So why you're actually here is, of course, because of our toolkit. Our newest toolkit we created is All Children, All Rights. And this was actually an Erasmus Plus project. It's a subsidy project, KA2, where we did a collaboration with partners across Europe. We collaborated in this specific project with Uit de Marge, which is a Belgian organization working with vulnerable youth and children. Arcis in Thessaloniki, they have multiple branches, but we work together with the branch in Thessaloniki, mainly working with refugee and Roma communities. And EPA, which is European Playwork Association, which is situated in Hamburg, Germany. And they give training and seminars on play-based learning and play activities, also for youth workers. We did this project, we started in November 2021, and we will be ending this project at the end of next month. We did this mainly, the main thing was to create a new interactive educational toolkit on children's rights that would be good to use within the context of Europe, but also with the universal and cultural ID to share it across the globe as much as possible. And that's what we try to do. So I hope we managed to do it. Yeah, the main idea was that we started with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, and how can we translate this convention specifically towards youth work, and how can youth workers learn from this convention and apply it to their own practice. So maybe just before I take you through this toolkit, I want to know maybe what you already know about the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. So I just made a short quiz. It's 5 questions, and I hope it's not too hard. It's and you can answer anonymously. But my colleague Yoko will launch the poll or the quiz, and then you can answer the questions. A lot of you are participating really hard. Thank you. I see that people are really answering questions. That's nice. I think for the new people who joined this and were not in the beginning of the session, we also launched a poll on who you are. So we are interested in who we are talking to. So if you didn't share your name and organization before, please do so in the chat maybe at this point. So it's nice for us to know who we are talking to in this webinar. We'll just wait a little bit more for people to complete the quiz on children's rights, and I will then continue with presenting the toolkit. Maybe 10 more seconds, and then we will end the poll. And then you will be able to see your answers and if they were correct or not. Okay, maybe you can wrap it up and share the results with the people who participated. So I see there were some questions that were not, that were hard, but that's okay. I think it's nice to see, for me as well. When I did research on this project, I learned so much. There's so much content on children's rights, but it's interesting to see. Okay, so before I really jump into the toolkit, maybe just some clarifications of some words, as I will be using them, and maybe you will not know what they are. First, there is the word rights holders in the children's rights team. This means all children. In this case, children under 18 years are rights holders, as they hold the right to all the articles in the convention. Next to this, you also have the duty bearers, and duty bearers are also linked to the Convention on Children's Rights, and these are the people who should make or have the duty to make sure the children's rights are upheld. So they should make sure that all rights of children are respected and promoted. Duty bearers in this case are all adults, like some of you answered in the poll as well. The government, most of all, as they signed the declaration, but of course also police, teachers, parents. It really goes a broad way. Youth workers, social workers, everyone who is involved with children should make sure, of course, that the rights are upheld. Within the convention, we have 54 articles, and they are mentioned on this poster. This is one of the posters actually we created as well within the toolkit, and it's based on the UNICEF poster. Here you can see short and quickly explained which article contains what right. And then all these 54 articles are in some research. We found that you can divide them into 4 categories, which makes it easier to talk about all those rights, because it's really hard to remember 54 articles. Even I, after 1.5 years, cannot mention all of them by heart. But there are 4 dimensions in the children's rights, and these dimensions will come back in our toolkit as it is easier to talk about. The first dimension is survival. This is the symbol of survival here, which means, of course, all the rights and articles that are linked to making sure that children have good health, that they have a roof above their heads, food, all these things like the basic necessities, basic needs. The second dimension is development, which relates to all the articles and rights where children have the right to develop, go to school, learn things, that they should be able to play, all these things. The third one is about protection. They should be protected from a lot of things, all mentioned again in the articles, but like drugs, like violence, like child labor, all these things. And then the fourth dimension is participation, where children, of course, have also the right to participate in groups. They share their opinion, freedom of religion, all these types of articles. Now, within our toolkit, we have 4 components, and I will take you through the 4 components so you can see what the toolkit involves. You're not obligated to use all 4 components. They just are there and you can use them separate. So it's not that you should use them all together. The first components are the educational posters. So these are the ones I mentioned before you can attach to our mobile school. But if you don't have a mobile school, don't worry. You can also just print them. You can put them on a table. You can put them on the floor. You can attach them to a wall. Whatever, it's all possible. We created 10 educational posters, and then I mentioned +1. The +1 is actually the overview poster I shared before with the 54 articles, as we didn't really invented it. It was already there from UNICEF. And those 10 educational posters are related to the 4 dimensions I mentioned before: survival, development, protection, and participation. And then you can see the first icon, which is the icon in general about children's rights. So we created 2 educational posters as well, which are more general and talk about children's rights in general. So these posters, we try to make them universal, as we are working universal with our organization, but we also want to reach as much people as possible. And we try to avoid as much written language as possible, again, to make it universal and culturally adapted. So we shouldn't be translating a lot of those posters. Here you can see some sketches from the starting phase of where we started, and then the posters came from. It's like really rough sketching here. And then we took some next steps. We have a designer or illustrator in this process, Belgium illustrator Gijs van Gier, who created the posters. And he was working with us in a short feedback loop, and then he shared like intermediate results as well, like you can see here at the bottom, to see if we agreed with everything that was on the poster, if it was universal, if everyone understood what it was saying. And then it was also tested, not only by us in Belgium, but also by our partners. Remember, this was a European project where we worked together with Greek partners and German partners, and they tested it with children, with youngsters, with their colleagues, with other organizations, to make sure it applies to youth work. So at the end, we have a final result of one of the posters here, and this is one in general about children's rights. You can see there is, let me see. Okay, so there's now a red circle on the poster. On each poster, we try to involve the dimension as well on what the poster is about. So in this case, it's about the 4 dimensions together, so about all children's rights. And you can also find, if you, oh, I'm too quick now, a QR code. Here you can see it on the bottom left. Those QR codes are linked to audio stories. I will tell you more about audio stories later, but if you see them on some posters I will show you next, you know what it means. So link to an audio story, and the dimensions are an icon. This is a poster in general about children's rights, and it's a board game, but you can play a lot of different activities with one poster. So it's not only one thing you can do with it. The second poster we created, like I mentioned, is the general overview. Here you can see language. I know I said we wouldn't involve as much language as possible, but here there is. This poster at this point is already translated to Arabic, French, Spanish, German, and Dutch. But we will be translating more in the future to languages that are needed or requested. So you can download them as well. So it serves more as an overview idea of all children's rights and can be put together with some of our other posters to clarify or explain certain rights that are mentioned in those posters. Then here you can see, this is an important one as well. This is also in general about children's rights. And here you can see 5 characters on the left side. As we wanted to create a toolkit that was like one whole, we thought it was a good idea to create some characters and that they would be coming back in all the posters. So the full toolkit is actually designed around those 5 characters. They have storylines here, which are stories that happened in their life, and they are of course linked to children's rights, rights that are protected in their case, but also some rights that are violated in their case. So with this comic poster, you can also play some activities like storytelling activities or drawing activities. You see that they also hold each a QR code in their hands. So it means that you can also find an audio story on each of these characters where they tell their life story a bit more. Then we created 2 posters on the survival dimension of children's rights. One with a cityscape where you can see all types of access to health, to food services like the supermarket or a small food stand or the food bank, also to different types of housing. Not all people live in an apartment. Some of them live in a shelter. Some of them live on the street. So there's a lot to talk about, I think, in this poster. And next to this, we created also like a bingo, basic needs bingo, we call it. It's to talk about basic needs, but in a game manner. Which needs are more important for you and why. So it involves a discussion afterwards or reflection exercise afterwards as well. The other dimension was development. Here we created another poster, which is like a school setting or educational center setting where all types of learning is going on. So it's nice to discuss as well. Again, here you can find a QR code with an audio story and the link to the dimension. Next to this, we created a poster which is specifically on the rights for children with I cannot think of the word now, yeah, with a handicap. But a disability. Now it pops in my head. Sorry. So it's the children with disabilities have specific rights as well in the convention, and we thought it was nice as well to make sure that they are put in the spotlight. And it's good to talk about with children on different types of access and barriers and types of inclusion for children with disabilities and disorders. Then protection was a third dimension. We have some security camera setting here, which of course is linked to the right to privacy, but in each screen you can find situations which are linked to the right to protection and where protection is not guaranteed in each story of the characters. Again, with the QR code and the icon. And to the right, we have a poster specifically on the rights for children who are refugees. And it talks about the journey of fleeing a country because of specific reasons and what happens on the way. So it's also a storytelling concept idea in a game. And the final dimension is participation, where we have a setting of a protest with a children's parliament next to it, where you can see all types of ways where participation is requested by children or for children. And next to this, we have a system where you can put an arrow in the middle and then you can turn with the arrow. And it's a debate game where you can discuss certain topics with children and they can be pro or against certain topics. And it's a game to learn to express your opinion, but also learn to listen and respect other opinions. So this is the first component, which is which are the educational posters. The second one is the games and activities. These are of course linked to the educational posters. We have one big manual, which is available online as well, where you can find all the games and activities you can play with each poster, but also some energizers and activities without a poster, but linked to the specific dimensions I mentioned before on children's rights. So other games on survival, other games on participation, and so on. And you can find them all in the manual. If you want to do something more specific on a certain topic, we have smaller versions of the manual with just on a specific topic. So if you just want games on the right to participation, you can download the small part separately. So it's really nice to download quickly. Then we have 2 bonus chapters as well, which are a bonus chapter on early childhood, which just include all activities that you can play with the youngest children, so 0 to 6, 7, 8 years old, which could also be nice if this is your target group to know, okay, what can I do now with the smaller children if I want to discuss children's rights? And a bonus chapter on a pandemic response. We all know the COVID-19 pandemic and that it had a big influence on children and children's rights. Which games can you play or do with children if you want to discuss specifically or reflect on this period or maybe other pandemics, hopefully not, but in the future. Here you can see, it's still in Dutch, I forgot to translate this, but it's like linked posters and energizers, like I mentioned, for children and youngsters. Next to this, we also have specific games for duty bearers. So there are not only games you can play with children. If you are an organization who is working directly, for example, with the police or with other teachers, there are also games you can play with other adults to discuss these topics on children's rights. You can also find them in the manual. The third component of children's rights toolkit, All Children, All Rights, are the audio stories. These audio stories are available, or 10 audio stories, are available in 6 languages. We have them in English, French, German, Dutch, Spanish, and Greek at this point. They are not all yet available on those 3 platforms I mentioned at the top now, so Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. We are uploading them as we go. We hope to finalize all 6 of them by the end of April. But at this point, the English versions are available. And I think in the next couple of weeks, we will be uploading German, Dutch, and Spanish as well. Maybe quickly, let us listen to one of the stories so you have an idea of what the audio stories are. So you can use them separately without a poster. You can use them with the poster where you scan the QR code. It's really up to you. So let us listen to a short part of Ibrahim's diary. Let me see if I can open it. Loading.
Dear Diary, once upon a time, there was my home. It was in a small village, a distant place with a few small houses from stone. They were built far away from each other, a village with a lot of space. This is where I grew up with my family. I called our home the castle, because that's what it was for me. A castle where I was happy and felt safe. I had everything I needed. I felt happy there because it was my place, my spot. my home. My family was not rich, but growing up I never felt I missed anything. My father always said, "Don't ask for anything more than you have. Be grateful, pray, and you will get what you deserve." In those days, Father's words were nice. We were safe and sound in your home. Everything was taken care of. But now I'm sitting here under these tents, and even Dad can do nothing else but wait. There was a storm yesterday. The water was coming inside of our tent. We've spent all night trying to keep our stuff dry. In the middle of the night, my dad went out searching for a second broom to keep the water out. Instead, he found a homeless family whose tent was ripped by the strong winds and the rain. It was a young mother with her 2 children, Aziz and Abdullah. Their clothes were soaked, and they were walking barefoot in search of a place to find shelter. Of course, we kept them in our tent.
I will stop it here. It's 2 minutes longer, the story, but I would invite you all to go to one of those platforms and listen to the stories completely. So this is the third part of our toolkit. And then the final part of the toolkit are the short trainings. I mentioned StreetSmart Learn before as one of our products. And on StreetSmart Learn, you can now find a new topic, children's rights, where we included 6 new training programs on children's rights. So we have one in general, an introduction to children's rights in youth work. And then we have one for the right of provision, which involves the dimension of survival and development, one on the right to protection, one on the right to participation, and then 2 programs that are linked to those bonus chapters I mentioned before. So one training program on working on children's rights during and after a pandemic, and one on children's rights approach in early childhood, so mostly linked to younger children and how children's rights play a role in the early childhood. These trainings are translated in English, French, Spanish, and Dutch, and are at this point available in English and Dutch, and one training already in Spanish and one in French, I think, as well. We are uploading at this point all of them in French, so I think hopefully by the end of this week or maybe next week, they will be all there in French, and Spanish, I think by the beginning of April, they should be there as well. And I mentioned it as well before that each training program has like a short introduction video where we explain quickly what the training is about. So I just want to try if I can share the video of my of the first training program in general on children's rights.
Hello there and welcome to this introductory program on children's rights. In 1989, the United Nations adopted the Convention on the Rights.
Sorry, I was trying to hide the subtitle.
Child. The Convention on the Rights of the Child, or UNCRC, is an international human rights treaty which sets out the civil, political, economic, social, health and cultural rights of children. The Convention is the most complete statement of children's rights ever produced and has become the most widely ratified human rights treaty in history. The UNCRC includes 54 articles explaining the rights of children. In this program, we want to give you a general introduction on the rights of the child, as well as some tips on how to work on these rights with your target group. Next to this, we'll also provide you with some tips and tricks on how to deal with duty bearers in your role as a youth worker. The trainers for this program are Lies de Vocht and Pam Franke. Lies and Pam are both pedagogues and have a background in educational sciences. Both have multiple years of relevant experience in youth work. Within the StreetSmart team, their responsibilities include creating training content for StreetSmart Learn. Good luck with completing this program and enjoy!
So now you have an idea of what the first training program is about, and we have for each of those programs such a video. If you go to the specific page of the first training program, you can see this like a short introduction on the program, and then the 5 training courses linked to this program. If you go through all of them, it will take you around 2 hours, and this one is in English, but we have it in Spanish, Dutch, and English at this point, and French will follow soon. Now, I presented you the 4 components of the toolkit, but of course, where can you find all these materials? I mentioned a lot of platforms, but we try to make it easy for you. So we created a website. Joke will share the link again in the chat, so you can all bookmark it or favorite it, and you have it close to you, or you can share it with other colleagues. It's called www.streetsmart.be/allchildrenallrights, where you can find all these materials. I will just quickly show you, and now I have to do a tricky move. I have to switch screens. Let me quickly see if I can switch screens now. I hope you see my browser now. Yeah, okay. So if you go to this link, you land on this website. And here you can see it's the All Children, All Rights Toolkit. The webpage we are translating as well. It's there in French, English, and Dutch already. Spanish follow soon again. And here you can find the 4 components I explained to you. So the first one are the educational posters. Here you can see all the posters, and it's like a carousel, so you can just scroll through them. If you say, I want to download this poster, then you can click on the poster. You go to this game, and then you can find the materials, the poster here, and you can download it. Careful if you want to download it, we ask you to create the account, but again, it's really easy, just a name and an email address, and you're set to go. So this is the first component. The second component were the games and activities with the manuals. The big manual you can download here. If you click here, I will quickly open it so you can see how it looks. So this is the manual. You can find like a page summary with all the chapters in there. But if you scroll through it, then you can see, for example, the first game is here. It's a general overview of children's rights. What are children's rights and why do they matter? You have to use this poster. And then here you can find the explanation of the game. If you scan this QR code, you will be linked to the game on StreetSmart Play, where you can download the materials you need to play this game, and so on. So you can scroll through this. It's a long document, but you can do it, I think, in your own time. Again, the carousel. So if you want to just do like a smaller unit, and you will only play or use games on the right to participation, you can download the separate manual for this as well. Third are the audio stories. At this point, I see the frame is a bit put together, but here you can find all the audio stories and the links to Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts for the specific stories, to listen to the story of Ibrahim or Rashan's dreams for Priya, and so on. And the final one is the short training, where you can find all the short introduction videos like I shared with you as well, but then on the other training programs. And if you want to follow the full training program, there is again a button which links to the program on the platform. So it's all put together nicely, so it makes it easy for you to play and use all the materials we created. I will quickly go back, hopefully to the right screen now on my slideshow. So I think I'm at the end already of my presentation of the toolkit. So maybe now up to you. We have, if you have questions, you can write them in the Q&A chat of this Zoom, and I will happily answer them. Next to this, Joke will also launch a small poll, as we just created this toolkit and we are really interested in who could be using this. So we are interested in 2 questions. How would you use this toolkit within your organization, school, company, whatever. And the second one is, do you know other organizations who would like to work with the All Children All Rights Toolkit? It's not obligated to answer them, but it could really help us out in sharing to the right places. So if you have some time, please answer those questions. And I will also put already the final slide here, and then we will take some time to answer the questions in the chat. Let me see if there are. Joka, I don't know if you, because I see there is a lot of chat.
There's no questions on the toolkit yet.
Okay.
So if those questions pop up now, maybe you have questions about what Lies presented or about specific use in your practices, please let us know, and then Lies can take your answers. I can take your questions. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. There are still people joining the webinar, I see.
Maybe also good to note, we expected many participants, which is why we didn't work with breakout rooms to interactively get to know the materials. But please take the time. The webinar was foreseen until 11:30, so take the time you have left to already go through the training programs, check out the panels, to see which ones can be used in your daily youth work practices, and give us feedback, which would help us a lot.
Definitely, yeah. So if everything was clear, which seems to be, that's nice as well. All the tools are clear for everyone. I hope it's useful for you as well within your organization to start working with them. If there are questions for potential translations in other languages, we cannot promise anything, but it's always nice to know where there are specific needs. And if we receive a couple of them, we can see if we can make an investment in translating materials to languages we don't have yet. So don't hesitate to ask us. If nobody asks, we don't know.
Maybe also nice to see your initial reactions on the toolkit. So if you feel free to share those as well in the chat.
Well, thank you, Kirsten, as well. She already did. Thank you, Roberto, as well. Yeah, we really tried with the toolkit. We know there exists a lot of materials on children's rights already. We try to, for us as well, we try to make it new and include some topics that are more recent. Like there was also a part on cyberbullying or the pandemic, or so there are some topics that obviously are, yeah, because of the time, it could not be included in the packages that are 10 years older, I think, but we might try to make it diverse as well as it applies to the world around us, of course. So yeah, it's nice to see that people like the material as well. Thank you, Olivier. Yeah, and please don't hesitate to start using it. It's free. Do it, share it as well with other people. If you think I know someone who might be interested in the audio stories or the games or the posters, go ahead and use it. That's why we made it, to share it, to participate all together, and to support youth professionals worldwide. Thank you, Albina.